We're here just to give you a briefing on
a major step forward for a British-made vaccine got a royal welcome today from the Duke of Cambridge.
It's an amazing achievement, isn't it? It really is.
The Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, now the third to show encouraging results, was given to more than 20,000 people in the UK and Brazil. The trial tested 2 dosing regimes and had an average efficacy rate of 70%, but the results for each group were very different. One group got 2 full doses 1 month apart and was 62% effective. The other got half the dose for the first shot, followed by a full dose 1 month later. It was 90% effective. Scientists don't fully know why the half dose worked better.
We also, in the trials, saw no one go into hospital with disease or develop severe disease if they had been vaccinated.
Right then, so I've got over here COV020.
The vaccine needs to be approved by regulators around the world. The UK government says it could start offering it as early as next month.
We can take great heart from today's news, which has the makings of a wonderful British scientific achievement.
Unlike the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines, which have shown a higher efficacy rate, the Oxford vaccine is much cheaper and easier to store and transport.
I think this will be a truly global vaccine in terms of its deployability and its accessibility. And it's going to be probably more affordable than most others for low and middle income countries.
AstraZeneca says it can provide 3 billion doses in the next year and pledges not to make a profit from poorer countries. The fight against COVID is far from over, but this is a glimmer of hope during a dark time for countries around the world. Renee Filipponi, CBC News, London.
Now, the health minister was asked today about a plan to get a vaccine out to Canadians.
All of our departments are working right now, round the clock actually, on making sure that we have a concrete plan with the provinces and territories, that we are ready to deploy the vaccines as soon as they arrive on Canadian soil.
The minister says all 3 leading vaccine candidates have submitted to Health Canada for rolling regulatory review, which should speed up the approval process. Okay, now I'm joined by infectious diseases specialist Dr. Zain Chagla, because I'm wondering if you can help me understand how the AstraZeneca vaccine might fit into a Canadian rollout, starting with that bit about it being cheaper and easier to store. Why is that the case?
So it's important to note the difference between this and the other vaccines. The other vaccines used mRNA, which is kind of part of the genetic compound. It's very tricky to deal with. It has to be stored at a particular temperature to make it stable, and it's hard to work up in the lab. So that's really where that requirement for refrigeration comes from for the Pfizer and Moderna vaccine. This is based on a virus. So, it's using a separate virus to essentially mimic COVID-19. And so it's much easier to grow viruses in the lab. It's much easier to store viruses in the lab. And that really gives that refrigeration component that makes it so friendly.
Right. And so knowing how fundamentally different it is, how would all of that affect who in Canada might get this particular vaccine and who might get the Pfizer and the Moderna ones?
Yeah, I think number one is that, the remote communities, places that are hard to reach, places where 6 months of shelf life is going to be important, that this vaccine certainly has a big role. And the other part is, as we're studying these vaccines, we may find that one works well in certain populations and not in others, or one works well after getting a particular vaccine or getting natural COVID infection. I think that data will come out as there's more real life experience with these vaccines.
Right. Very interesting stuff. Dr. Chagla, thank you so much.
No problem.